Okay, here we go. The first of many videos on four-voice part writing. I want to summarize a little bit of what I talked about last week with four-voice writing. I'm going to start in the key of C major. I'm going to take a 1 chord, and I'm going to voice this chord in bass, tenor, alto, and soprano. First thing to notice is that we have soprano and alto on the same staff. The up stems are for soprano, the down stem is for alto. Same thing with tenor and bass. Next thing we want to think about is this is a 1 chord, which is a triad, which in the key of C is C, E, G, but there are 4 voices. For right now, we're going to say that we're going to double the root of the chord. So in 4 voices, we're going to want 2 C's, an E, and a G. I'm writing these down here to give you something to have a record of what I'm talking about, but I would recommend you don't do this. Do this in your head because this will become a crutch which will hold you back. Okay, so we have 2 C's, an E, and a G, and you can see here I've got a root, root, third, and a fifth. Okay, a couple of other things you want to think about. You want to have good spacing so that it sounds good. And what makes this sound good is no more than an octave between soprano and alto, no more than an octave between alto and tenor. We don't care about the distance between tenor and bass. But the spacing of the upper voices, just don't have them spread too far apart. You want a nice blended sound. The last thing we want to think about in voicing a single chord is the range of each voice. So for soprano, generally you want it to be from middle C to this G. So this is C4 to G5. For alto, the G below middle C to this C. So that is G3 to C5. For tenor, the range is roughly this C to this G. This is C3 to G4. And finally for the bass, we have E to C, and this is E2 to, sorry, this is a wrong note, to C4. Okay, so if you look at this first chord, you can see we have proper doubling. Okay, right now we're doubling the root. There's 2 roots, a third and a fifth. All of the other notes are present. You can see the spacing is good because this is less than an octave between these two, less than an octave here. You can see this soprano note is in the middle of the soprano range, the alto note is in the alto range, tenor, and bass. This is a well-doubled chord. I want to voice this chord a couple of additional ways, just to show you different things we could do with it. Okay. Do you see how here in this chord we could fit a G in there? G is a chord tone. In between these two, we could have a C in there. So these are spaced out. They're not as close as possible. That is called open voicing. Okay, open voicing means not as close together as possible for the upper 3 voices. If we want a close voicing of this chord, we're going to have to do this. If we do a C here, for the soprano, the alto is going to have to be this G, the very next closest chord tone. And the tenor would have to be this E very next chord tone. And then the bass can actually be lower or it can be up high. This criteria applies to the upper three voices. Okay, so the bass could be here, and then these three would be clustered together into an open position. Any note can be on top. I'm going to do a C, E with a third on top, C, and a G. Okay, so here we've got C and E. We still need a C, two C's, an E, and a G. That's one possibility. Here's C and G. We're going to need another C, and we're going to need an E. I'm going to put my C, second C here, and then the E and the tenor is going to have to be here. If I had done it down here, that would have been too much space. Okay, so since these are spread so far apart, we kind of have to do the voicing that way. That is the voicing of a single chord. There was an assignment in which we you were given two versions of the same chord. I'll do one of those just for kicks. So say we're in the key of B flat, and we have the 5 chord. Okay, so in the key of B flat, 5th note of the scale is F, and I'm going to do 2 5 chords. I'm going to do a 5 chord and repeat it. And then here I'm going to have the upper voice, the soprano, move from 3 to 5. Okay, so first of all, let's get this chord completed. We have F, A. I'm going to take an F here and a C here. So we have 2 Fs, an A, and a C. Nicely spaced within ranges. Okay, so now we're going to this chord. We know we're still going to need 2 Fs, an A, and a C. A couple different things you could do. One of these is we could take this to A and this up to F if we wanted to keep them nice and close together. Another thing we could do, do you see this goes from A to C? And here we have a C. If we take the C to A, that's called a voice exchange. So the A and the C basically trade places. The 2 Fs can stay the same, and we have a perfectly doubled chord. Okay? So that is voicing of a single chord. I'll scan this sheet and add it underneath the video. So this is one voicing of a single chord.